Day for one of our most important assets that we have right here within Milwaukee County, and that is McKinley Beach. And so, as many of you know, McKinley Beach has been closed for the past 2 summers due to the dangerous riptides, dangerous riptide conditions that has resulted in tragic loss in our community. And so we know that this beach has always been a popular destination, and we want it to be safe and accessible and open to all of our residents throughout the summer, especially when we see heat waves, so residents can get some type of relief by enjoying this beach. So today's bill signing is extremely important because it's taking steps forward to reopen this beach and making it and bringing it back to its original design with some additional safety measures that is cost effective, that puts us a step closer to reopening this beach. But I just want to say, make no mistake about it, this is a great day for our Milwaukee County parks and our beaches. But when we look at these important neighborhood amenities, it is clear that we need more resources in order to manage them effectively and to keep them accessible to the public. And so it's important to understand the current conditions and the current track that we're on, which is that our park funding is not sustainable. And so the Milwaukee County Parks, we don't have enough money to fund and to maintain and improve our parks for the long haul, and that we have nearly $500 million in deferred maintenance costs alone. And so over the past 3 decades, we've seen our levy for the parks reduced. We've cut positions, and back in 1989, we had over 1,000 positions, 1,073 positions to be exact. And we've had to cut those positions to about 469 in 2019. And so our efforts to increase earned revenue has been good, but it is not sustainable for us to keep this up. We need additional funds. But again, as I've always talked about, one sustainable long-term way for us to make the impact is to allow Milwaukee County to capture our local economic activity, to decrease property taxes and fund local priorities like keeping our beaches open and safe. And so I'm encouraging residents to visit our moveforwardmke.com website to learn more about our plan to increase revenue as well as invest in critical services. But today's signing and celebration wouldn't be possible without the Parks, Energy, and Environmental Committee Chair, Supervisor Wasserman, as well as, and she's not able to join us today, Supervisor Martin, but especially a good shout out to Supervisor Bergelis for being here, because when you think about what we're doing right here, right now, this is about investing in equity. And all of our parks, our beaches, and trails should be safe and open to all of our residents, no matter what zip code they come from. So I want to say thank you to the county board, but particularly to Supervisor Wasserman and Felicia Martin for getting this over the hump, because this is extremely important that we find a solution for McKinley Beach. And so when we think about McKinley Beach, I know a lot of individuals look at this as, this is where a majority of African Americans and people of color used to come to enjoy. But we need to make sure that we recognize that that is true, but it's unfortunate that it's been coming down to one of the most unsafe beaches that we have. So fixing the problem that we have here, making sure that this is no longer a danger, is critical in making sure that we achieve equity all across Milwaukee County. And so I'm looking forward to coming back to McKinley Beach in the future, and hopefully we'll be here to announce the reopening of one of the most affordable, family-friendly beaches that we have right here in Milwaukee County. So with that being said, I want to invite up the Parks Chair, Supervisor Wasserman, to share a few words before we go on with the signing. Supervisor Wasserman.
I'd like to thank County Executive Crowley for making this day possible. The signature will put into motion a great act. We're going to be tearing down this fence, these fences that protect the citizens from going to the water, but at the same time do not allow people to partake in our water. We're a great city by a great lake, and for part of our community not to enjoy it, and one of the most beautiful beaches in the entire state of Wisconsin and in the country, having these fences up there and having the seagulls represent what we should be doing. We should be out there in the water. We should have families out in the water in a safe environment, and this will do it. This change in our beach structure will make riptides a thing of the past. Sure, water will always be, we have to be safe with it, but at the same time we can do something with it. We can enjoy the water. And on hot summer days in Wisconsin, this is something we dream of. Every Wisconsinite knows what Wisconsin summer is all about. It's a short, precious period of time. You want to take your family, you want to enjoy the water, you want to enjoy the environment, and there's nothing finer than McKinley Beach. And for this community to lose a section of the beach that is really home to a lot of African American and Hispanic families is wrong. And with our county executive and with the full board, my entire Parks Committee unanimously approving it, with the entire full board approving it, we want to do something. And we didn't want to wait 3 years. We want something this year. We want something at least next year. And next year we're going to have an opening, and we're going to have a grand opening. And we invite you all back because we're going to have families back. And the key thing is, let's take down these fences and let's restore the beaches to the citizens of Milwaukee. So thank you very much, County Executive and my colleagues and the Parks Department. James Tarantino's here today representing the parks, and let's get the signing ceremony started and let's move forward.
Great step in the right direction. Any questions folks may have?
Yeah, have there been any talks about what exactly the steps are going to be to make this a safer beach? Obviously, this is for the funding, move forward with that process, but what do you have in mind?
You know what, I'm going to allow Supervisor Wasserman to really talk about this. He has been at the forefront of this beach, and I believe this is your district as well. So I'm going to allow him to speak to that.
The big concern that we had was when these 4 drownings occurred in 2020, we wondered what was happening, what was causing this beach to be so unsafe. So we undertook a hydrological study of the water and the barriers around the area. And we hired a firm that basically looked at the water, we looked at currents, we looked at wind conditions, and we found out that at specific times and in specific ways, the waters create rip currents, more on the southern section of it. And you can't see it from the shore, but over the last 30 years after the construction of this beach, wind and water has taken the sand from one section of it, pulled it into the lake, which then created these eddies and these flows that have created this riptide environment. So what we're going to do is we're going to take sand from outside and farther out into the lake, bring it back in, bring up the water levels to about 2 feet. And that creates a safer environment, dramatically safer environment. And we looked at all other areas, and they were costing millions of dollars. But the design that took place back in 1989 was a correct design. It just wasn't maintained. And now we're going to build it. We're going to get it back to 1989's design. It's safe there, and we will hopefully maintain it. But as the county executive said, we are short on money. I mean, we're in terrible, dire shape for money situations. But we're going to try to maintain it as best as we can so we don't get into a situation in 30 years.
How long will that sustain? Is that a 20-year project that lasts for 20 years?
Well, the current theory is it's about 20 to 30 years. It will, 20 years, about 15 to 20 years it will last. But maintenance is something that the Parks Department has discussed with our committee, with the county executive's office. And you know, we know that there's a problem. We know that if we don't maintain it, we're going to be back in the same situation that we are in today. And I think we're going to do something better. So I'm really encouraged that the talk that we're hearing from the county board, working with the county executive's office, working with the Parks Department, says that we are going to maintain it. And 30 years from now, it won't be me, but somebody else will stand here and we'll be celebrating the 30 years and the future 30 years worth of safe beach environment.
Mr. Crowley, a question. This beach is life and death, as we found out a couple of years ago. When you talk about a call to action for more funding, non-sustainable funding, what other projects throughout this county are life and death right now that need attention? Are there any? What's next?
Well, at the end of the day, when we think about all the assets and our deferred maintenance, you know, the things that we provide are life and death. I mean, our parks provide safe spaces for individuals' mental and physical health. We want to continue to provide opportunities for people to become more healthier, to become more connected with their residents. So at the end of the day, all of the projects that we need to be focusing on improves the quality of living for everyone throughout Milwaukee County. So it's hard to pinpoint for me to pinpoint other particular projects that are life and death specifically, but we know based off of the deaths that we have seen over the few years that this is something that we have to work on.
We've seen time and time again with these drownings, people who either don't heed the warnings or don't understand how dangerous the water can be, and even making this beachfront safer, you may not eliminate all the risks. Is there anything in play to get more lifeguards on the beach?
Well, that's been a situation that we've been dealing with for many years, and even prior to the pandemic, we've been losing lifeguards. But we're going to continue to do what we can to get as many lifeguards as possible, but also just employees within Milwaukee County working at the Parks Department and all of our various departments. It's been a struggle finding employees, just like many of the folks that are feeling the crunch in the private sector. We're feeling the exact same crunch in the public sector. But I can tell you that the Parks Department is committed to finding ways to make sure that we can staff these beaches and they're safe for everyone. Well, it comes down to a partnership, and I'll allow Supervisor Wasserman to share his thoughts on this as well. But at the end of the day, we need all of our places where there's pools, whether we're talking about right here at McKinley, Bradford Beach. We want to make sure that all of our places that people go to beat the heat are staffed. So at the end of the day, we have to step up and making sure that we are not only finding lifeguards, but how are we creating a pipeline for lifeguards? Do you have anything to share?
Sure. Yeah. And the pipeline, what the county executive said, is key. Getting swim lessons in the public school systems and all the schools, making sure that swimming is available to people who are not even in the school system, getting children to take classes at the Y, at the J, and everywhere else. It's critical that kids know how to swim. And it's absolutely wrong that 2/3 of African American adults and Hispanic adults do not know how to swim. That is a historical, institutionalized problem that we have in our community and around the country. But teaching swim lessons to your children will save their lives. And even though people do not know how to swim, you get your kids into class, it's critical. So that's one thing, let's teach people how to swim. But at the same time, getting beach guards is another problem. Milwaukee had a long tradition of beach guards, and a beach guard is very different than a standard swimming pool guard. Beach guards are rare, they're hard. We're not like Los Angeles, we're not like San Diego, we're not like Miami where you have the beach guard tradition. We had a small core of beach guards that kept the tradition alive, but COVID actually killed it. And COVID broke that guards up and had the guards get other jobs, and that tradition of beach guarding really was lost. But we've worked very hard with the Parks Department. We worked with Jody, who's the water safety director for the parks, trying to get beach guards and try to get that tradition back would be a great way for us to go. And to be point blank, if we could get beach guards, I want them right here. We need them right here. We need it where people do not know how to swim or swim less well than others. But it's basic racial equity and basic equity for everybody. Everybody needs to swim. Everybody needs to be able to feel safe in the water, and especially a city like the city of Milwaukee. If you don't know how to city in Milwaukee, we have one of the greatest lake systems in the world. 20% of the fresh water in the entire planet is right in front of us. We need to know how to swim. We need to be safe in the water. We need to be able to protect those who don't know how to swim. And even those who do know how to swim sometimes get in trouble. And that's where guards will make the difference.
Time for one last question.
When will the actual work begin out here, and what's your timeline on hoping to reopen?
Do you want to take this?
Sure. Jim Tarantino, Deputy Director of Milwaukee County Parks. First, we'll begin with the procurement process. Signing this legislation really kickstarts that. It puts the funds aside so that we can start the design and then construction process. And we will begin that immediately. Construction will begin after that design. There's no reopening date set in mind right now, but we're shooting to have it reopen next summer.
Before we wrap, could you also talk about pay increase for lifeguards when that's more towards that? Because we have some big questions.
Right, regarding the lifeguards, so this year, thanks to partnership between the county board and the executive's office, we've really raised the rates for seasonal lifeguards significantly. So we're starting at $16.80 an hour, and lifeguards earn up to $18 or $20 an hour based off experience. You know, we're in the middle of the summer season right now, but we're really trying to do things with recruitment bonuses, retention bonuses, everything we can to bring lifeguards on board. And I want to make one other plug for the Beach Ambassador program, who is helping to supplement the loss of lifeguards, just really providing information and ambassadorship on the lakefront for park goers here, educating them on where there are staff facilities and swim safety and taking issues in the lake seriously.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to sprint the cart around.